We have $1 billion walking in and out of these offices looking for love.
Judith?
We have a standard to uphold. That blouse, it's telling it all.
So does your dress.
What's wrong with my dress?
Can you even breathe?
How was your third week? Any better? That bad, huh?
Why am I wasting my time helping old men get a date? Yeah, I could get out and start my own practice. Be a marriage counselor, I'd be on my way.
Right now, you don't need to be thinking about that.
What's that?
The largest social media inventor since Zuckerberg
Is looking to invest in my company.
You run Landover Park
You run there?
every Saturday.
With your shirt off? So all the pretty girls could notice you.
Well, you notice me running.
You know what, people? I would wait till I stopped laughing to start this recording, but I can't because we're talking about Tyler Perry's Temptations today.
Tyler Perry's Temptation: Confessions of a Marriage Counselor.
Yeah. What? Based on the book Push by Sapphire. And let's just keep adding titles to this. Come on, guys.
That's such a terrible title.
Marvel's Tyler Perry's
Agents of Tyler Perry.
Marvel's Agents of Tyler Perry's Temptations: A Confession of a Marriage Counselor, based on the book Push by Sapphire.
No, it's
Harder.
based
All
on
right.
the play. Whatever the play he wrote is.
No, I don't even know if he does that anymore. But before we begin, Matt, what is your background with Tyler Perry movies? Like, what have you seen, haven't you?
Okay, so can I give you an article and link in the show notes? Is that a thing?
Sure thing.
You
Why
guys do?
not? Sure.
It'll be in the screen
Okay.
thread, so yes.
Okay, I'll give you Evan Stahoff, who writes for Badass Digest, wrote a very impassioned defense of why critics should take Tyler Perry more seriously. And it was not that he was good, but that he is an auteur that is almost unequaled in today's movie landscape of studio interference and focus groups. And I like when people are passionate about things nobody else cares about, so I decided to watch all of his movies, and have proceeded to do so. I haven't seen the plays. There are filmed versions of the plays. They're all like 4 hours long and have a lot of gospel singing, so I'm not going to do that. But otherwise, everything but Good Deeds I've seen.
Yeah, you can, which is ironic because that is the only Tyler Perry movie that does not have the message, get your ass to church. That is the only one where that never comes up.
I want to point out that most of the Medea movies do not actually have that message.
Well, they do at least. Most of them do stop the movie at some point to go to church, don't they?
Well, sure, but I feel like
exactly.
Medea
He
as a
tries
character
to sneak it in there.
is actively critical of that get yourself to church and get Jesus and it'll fix your life mentality.
Oh yeah, he doesn't realize that.
Discussion for the next Medea movie where we can talk about that.
Which I now have to go and see. Because this was the first time I ever saw a Tyler Perry movie in theaters. The only other Tyler Perry film I've seen.
Did you have an amazing experience with people in the theater?
Dude, I saw this at the Magic Johnson Theater in the middle of Harlem. And I'm the whitest motherfucker you'll ever find.
I'm so jealous.
And
I'm so jealous.
I swear to you this is true. I'm the whitest motherfucker you'll find. I took my theater ticket up to the ticket taker. He grabs it, looks at it, looks at me for 3 seconds straight, looks at me, bum, 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 looks back at the ticket, looks back at me, then finally rips the ticket, gives it to me, and goes, alright, it's in Theater 1. I go over and go, wait, that doesn't say what it is on the theater. I look at Theater 1. Theater 1 is playing Evil Dead. And I just turned back and went, I know what movie I bought. And I went into the correct theater. This dude, seriously was like, this is a prank. You're doing something, aren't you? And I will say, I'm probably going to have a more positive idea of this film than you are. Because, yeah, I did see it with the right people. There was someone sitting next to me who was quoting lines in the movie. They had seen it before enough times to memorize parts of it.
No.
Or was the play?
This is why you should go see Tyler Perry movies in theaters, because you get an amazing crowd experience. That does not defend what is in the film, and we'll get to that. But the going to see it in a theater experience is always great.
Yeah, as me personally, I have snuck into a couple of about 5 years ago when I was working in a theater. I did sneak into about 2 of his movies and see parts of it with people. But the only one that I saw start to finish was Good Deeds before this, which is one of my favorite bad movies. It is hilarious. That is the one where Tyler Perry was like, I'm going to prove to everyone that I'm a great director. And there's a moment in that movie where Tyler Perry, as Wesley Deeds, is packing up his office, and they have, what's that song, Time After Time, playing in the background? And there's a moment where it goes, suitcase, and he picks up his suitcase as it says that, and it just goes, oh my god, he thinks this is directing. This is what he thinks directing is.
The thing is that I haven't seen that movie, but I feel like Tyler Perry's an okay director.
It's not bad. I mean, well,
he does. I mean, it's pretty workmanlike, but it gets the job done. I think that he writes okay comedy. He's got pretty decent comedic timing. Even this movie has some great character bits that I think are genuinely funny. But when he tries to moralize, he is the most offensive human being to ever make a movie that I've seen.
Oh, it is bad. It is in this movie. Let's go everybody to the plot of this movie. The plot of this movie is that this woman has, she's been with her husband. What was her husband's name? I loved his name. Bright or something like that.
Bryce, I think.
Bryce, that was it. Okay. She's been with her husband, Bryce, ever since they were 6 years old. And they've been married for a couple of years now. And, she loves him until all of a sudden the devil shows up. Or at least that's what Tyler Perry wants us to think it is. It's this guy named Harley who is the third biggest social media billionaire since Mark Zuckerberg. And
that is how he is introduced in the movie.
It is. It exactly, word for word.
by Kim Kardashian.
Is that
Yes!
part of the comedic timing you were talking about?
No. But if you want to read it as such, I wouldn't put it past you.
Although I will say, Kim Kardashian is in this movie, and I am a guy who has spent his life trying to avoid Kim Kardashian as a person because I was like, I don't know who this is, but I want no part of it. And she is introduced standing to the side, and I was like, oh, I see why she's famous. So that is our first little introduction to her character. But anyway, this lady who's married to Bryce, totally forgot her name, but she works Judith, thank you. She works at a Fortune 500 company that is a matchmaking company for billionaires, and she could not be more pissed to have that job. And basically, one day she ends up meeting up with Harley, who wants to, do some kind of a merger deal with him. And he starts hitting on her and starts flirting with her, and she's starting to get a little bit bored with her husband, so she starts flirting back. And eventually, it goes on from there until, holy crap, it goes down a rabbit hole of...
Okay, let's pull it back a bit. We want to talk about the spoilers of this movie, and I think that we're getting to the point where we have to.
Well, now to say that she goes into, it just, suddenly her life goes into, ruin, and she is, suddenly, meeting up with this guy, and who's not her husband. Yeah, I won't go much further than that, but it goes to crazy places with how much temptation she has in this film. But yeah, let's start just pointing out the insane shit in this movie. Not spoiler-wise, but just our general review.
Okay, like most Tyler Perry melodramas, he makes the mistake of making everyone the most cliched version of that kind of character. So Judith is all good and well-meaning, except she has a fatal character flaw, which, as far as I can tell, is being a woman, because Tyler Perry. And her husband Bryce is nerdy and passive and forgets her birthday 2 years running,
which is kind of a dick move, I gotta say.
Is like, oh, you can start your own business as a marriage counselor maybe in 15 years when we're set up, and is the worst simpering husband ready to get cuckolded that has ever been put into a movie.
I don't think he's that. I don't think he's as the worst. But you are right about one thing, which is that Tyler Perry thinks that taking this guy who should be a bodybuilder, you've seen him without a shirt on a couple times, and putting glasses on him makes him a weak nerd.
Yeah.
That dude should have just taken off those glasses and revealed a big S on his chest. That's how poorly cast he was as a nerd.
And then when she goes into her crazy tailspin, her mother shows up.
Oh my god!
Spouting religious fervor as part of some I can't tell if it's a church or a cult.
No,
because the film never settles on it.
It's the Tyler Perry's idea of church, which means he came from interesting backgrounds. But no, people, there are like, you might be watching this and thinking, I don't see why this is that crazy. There's like in the last half hour of this movie, like 5 different beats where you could say, okay, it wasn't that crazy until this happened. And that happens at like 5 different moments.
And the subplot of this movie is that Bryce works at a pharmacy as a pharmacist, and they hire a
Brandy
girl played by Brandy, who is seemingly running away from a character in her shady past, and is trying to get back on her feet, like he is Jason Voorhees lurking in the bushes.
I was about to say, people do not run from Freddy Krueger like she did. It is madness. I almost wanted the cinematographer from this thing to quit and go and make the next Nightmare on Elm Street, because I was like, damn, man, you are not shooting this correctly, but you could do some other things well. But, oh my god, you are right about everything you've said. By the way, speaking of the pharmacy, I actually like the old lady who owns the pharmacy.
The old lady who runs the pharmacy is hilarious and great.
She's actually
I want that movie
good.
to just be about her.
She's actually good, and I feel bad saying that about the only one white character in this movie. It's like, no, she's the good part about this. But it's true, people. She's the only good thing about this movie. I will say, though, that... Jeez, I do not want to sound like I like this movie. I didn't hate it quite as much as you did, and I think it's simply because I did see Good Deeds, which is even crazier and even worse written. There are moments in here where I'm like, all right, I like Bryce. I kind of like Bryce's character a little bit. And it's like, you know what? There's kind of a moment in here where I'm feeling a little bit of touchiness between here. Like, I honestly was thinking, oh my god, am I gonna give this movie 3 stars? Spoiler alert, everybody! I'm not giving this 3 stars, because it does just go crazy after this. And, I mean, up to a point, it's just a very bland, mediocre film to me. But there reaches a moment where it just goes off the wall. But even up until then, it's still bad, and everything you've said is correct about this movie. Although I would also like to point out that you said that her biggest character flaw is her being a woman. She's got another character flaw, but it's not one Tyler Perry meant to put in there, which is that she's just a horrible employee. Because this woman is complaining about how, with her degree, she has to work at this crappy job, which is a Fortune 500 company, and I think at that moment, anybody in the audience who has been suffering from the crappy unemployment status that this country has right now just kind of spoke up and went, "Bitch, you did not just say that."
But this movie does not take place in the now. And we'll get to that.
Oh, that's true. That's true. It is all a flashback. That's not a spoiler because it opens with her saying, "I want to tell you a story."
Either it's in the flashback or the frame is in the future, and I'm not sure which is more stupid.
It can't be the
It's got to be the
future.
frame is in the future, because otherwise, how can she be the 3rd biggest billionaire?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Oh.
Like everything in the flashback is modern times, but the characters are aged significantly between the frame and the flashback
Significantly.
by at least 10 years.
By the way, when they reveal one of the characters in the present, quote unquote, with his now bad gray hair job, somebody in the audience just went at my theater.
Yep, mine too. Which is a great counterpoint. Which is a great.
There's a moment where Brandy drops a bomb, which everybody. By the way, she drops a bomb that made me go, "Wait, what?" And then all of a sudden she reveals something else, which anybody who didn't just get up to use the bathroom during one scene should have seen coming. And even if you did get up to use the bathroom during that scene, you should have still seen it coming.
Oh yeah.
There was one moment that there were several people in my audience who gasped at that, but there was one other person who, I swear to you, just in the back went, "Wait, but if," like, seriously, he wasn't just stunned, he was trying to figure it out. It was the saddest thing. But yeah, she is, like I said, she's a terrible employee. She's talking about how she hates working there, but that could not be more obvious. Like, her boss, there's a scene where she brings her boss in to meet this billionaire client who could take their job to a new level, and she just goes, "I want you to show him around." She's like, alright, sure, whatever, follow me. And it's like, how have you not been fired? And I mean, there's another moment in which he's talking about, okay, on this survey, you never bring up sex. Why don't you do that? And he goes, oh, well, I'm a Christian and I don't believe in premarital sex. This survey ain't for you. It's for the people who hire you to find mates for them. It is just, she's a horrible employee. But like,
can we talk about spoilers now, please?
Almost. All right. Let me just say, we have talked about almost as much as I can without getting in spoiler territory. Just to sum up, you know what? There are moments in here in which I kind of felt a connection to the characters. I do kind of like the character Bryce, but you have a totally unlikable protagonist. It just goes crazy to the limit. I will say that I'm being, once again, a little bit nicer to it because, when you see it with the right audience, it does kind of make you feel good. And I can fully understand not judging the movie for that. But to me, seeing a Tyler Perry film, seeing it with an audience is kind of part of the experience to me. So I am going to give this 2 stars, but it's a 2 stars with, 5 asterisks next to it. Look up the notes here, people.
So 7 stars?
An asterisk is not a star. Yes, that's how crappy it is. It goes so below the 1 star, it drifts back into the negative into these stars. No, I give it 2 stars, but it's partly because I was laughing my ass off at how stupid it is. I can enjoy shitty films. I've mentioned that numerous times. But yeah,
I think that the sad fact is that Tyler Perry made a movie that is more for adults than most movies for adults. It just so happens that Tyler Perry is amoral and ignorant of how human beings work on a fundamental level. And I love seeing Tyler Perry movies in a theater with the right audience, and I did so. And I will go see as many movies as he puts out in that same audience, in those same theaters. But that does not make Temptation good.
No.
And I will explain why Temptation is not only bad, but actively offensive on multiple levels in the spoiler section.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give this a big fat 1 star.
I just want to say
we do have a rating below 1 star, which is the burn this motherfucker to the ground.
There are things about it that are humorous, and if you go into it like I'm gonna take the piss out of this, there is a gold mine.
That's true.
I just want to say this has accidentally got the best Wikipedia page ever because you load it up and it goes Temptations of a Marriage Counselor or Confessions of a Marriage Counselor, and it comes up with the I. This page has some issues.
Nice. Well, all right, we're about to go into spoilers, but I want to say one other thing, which is that I'm about to make a comparison no one else has ever made. Tyler Perry is kind of like Woody Allen, because both of these guys...
I will stab you to death.
Hold on. Both of these guys... hold on. Both these guys put their psychological issues on the screen. The difference is, Woody Allen uses this as his therapy lessons. He goes to therapy by putting his issues on the camera and uses it to make him grow and change and deal with his issues. Tyler Perry doesn't realize he's putting his psychological issues on this camera. And because of this, I can now flat out say Tyler Perry's gay. I can say that. Everybody said...
I feel very uncomfortable saying things like that. But
I know you do, but I'm going to say it because everybody said because he dresses in drag. I don't believe he's gay because he dresses in drag. That's because, of a character he's doing. That just says what he finds funny. There's a scene where she runs in and tries to seduce her husband and just goes, buck wild on, no, give it to me now, give it to me. And I was like, this is a man who's never been with a woman. This is the only way that someone could write this, is if they've never once been in a sexual situation with a woman before. And that is just the start of the psychological issues that he puts in here and what it says about him. And we go into spoiler territory now. Matt?
Okay, so let's go in order.
Oh my god.
There's 2 things specifically I want to talk about, and it is... the scene where what's the guy's name that she's
Harley.
Harley. Okay, they go to New Orleans and they have a business meeting.
Oh, God.
Which is a montage of them drinking and dancing and riding a carriage through New Orleans, sent to when the Saints go marching in.
Tyler Perry always thinks he's making a music video. He always does.
So they're flying home on Harley's private jet.
Oh my
and then
God.
Harley decides it's time to make the move. And when Judith does the right thing and says, no, I'm married, I don't want to, he insists, and what follows is essentially a rape scene predicated on him saying, well, at least you can say you resisted, and then they sleep together, and the rest of the movie is her totally wanting him because he was so good in bed when he raped her on the airplane.
In all fairness,
Jesus
there are women
Christ.
like that out there. There are women...
That does not make it okay to depict in the way that he does.
Oh, no. No, I'm just saying, there are people out there who are like that, but the fact that he flat out just shows a rape scene and then prefaces it by Harley saying, you can say you resisted if you want. I was
More
like,
importantly,
holy fuck.
When he drops her off at home and meets her mother right after the rape, and she looks all stunned, she immediately goes and takes a shower where she fantasizes about her rape.
Wait, hold on. She fantasizes about? Oh, wait, it does.
When she's in the shower,
I forgot about that.
in that sexy flashback to where he's raping her. Yes.
Oh, that's not even the weirdest sex scene in there. Is when they suddenly turn into an R. Kelly video for like 5 seconds because it just suddenly cuts to a bathtub filled with more candles than are humanly possible to fit into any room without burning it down. It's, oh my god.
And then, so let's just go ahead and talk about the other worst thing in the movie. And this is
when Brandy drops the bomb.
The two bombs where Brandy mentions that to Bryce in a moment where Bryce is like, they're broken up. Bryce and Judith are estranged, and he's taking care of Brandy because she's the consolation prize in this movie, apparently. And she has this touching moment, and he goes in for a kiss. She's like, "What are you doing?" Because Tyler Perry's 1950s gender politics. And then she drops the bomb that she is HIV positive.
No, that's another scene. That's the scene after this, after he goes in for the kiss.
Okay, yeah, but this is... She reveals that she's HIV positive because she got it from her boyfriend that she's running from, who happens to be Harley.
Bum, bum, bum.
I'm so shocked right now.
Yeah, you didn't even see the movie, but there's a scene in there in which some guy comes in and you don't see him, but you can clearly hear his voice, and come on, man, it's Harley. And then she's saying, oh yeah, my ex-boyfriend, he's come to the city, I've been running from him, and he tried to kill me, and it's like, yeah, no shit, this is Harley. Like, even if you hadn't seen that scene where you hear his voice, you should know who she's talking about.
Bryce's reaction is the most beautiful Vader-esque, Judith, no!
Oh, that's amazing. After that, after she says, Harley, the guy who invented this social media class, and he just starts yelling out, Judith! No! It's amazing bad cinema.
So, for her infidelity in being raped, Judith also gets HIV. And gets nobody because now that she's damaged goods, Bryce won't get with her because he's a good Christian man.
Well, that's the thing that kind of really bugged me is that in the end, when Bryce goes and saves Judith, it's, finds her beaten to half to death in the bathtub, and she goes, "Are we fine? Can we start over?" And he goes, "Yes, we can." Then it flashes to the
not if you have HIV.
Like, guess what? Nope, they didn't start over. The thing is, I don't want to say that that's a message about women infidelity, but it's Tyler Perry, so it probably is.
Just considering that the entire movie is predicated on her, she did not believe in Jesus enough, so she turned evil and then had sex with the wrong man who was not her husband, and now she's being punished with HIV. Yes, I'm going to say that this is a problem.
Have you seen the poster for this movie, Aaron?
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know about this till I was on the subway one day, and we just drove past, and we just went past it, and I went, oh, shit, I didn't even know he was having another movie coming out. Like, had to go home and find out everything I could about this. But because the poster looks like Tyler Perry's Red Shoe Diaries, basically. But yeah, the thing is, the way that you're describing what the message is, I feel like if I didn't know this was a Tyler Perry movie, I wouldn't be interpreting it that way. But because it's Tyler Perry, not only am I interpreting it that way, but that's clearly what it has to be.
I would interpret it that way regardless, but yeah, there is no anyone who has seen Tyler Perry's movies about marriage knows that this is the way it always goes.
You're not wrong about anything that you're saying. And the weird thing is, like, you know, her getting HIV from this guy, that, with a guy who throws hell parties, because we didn't even mention that. There's a moment where they go to his house, and he has a and it's hell. There's fire in this place. Like, there's no question about it.
Oh, and implied lesbianism.
Oh, there's implied everything going on in that scene, except Tyler Perry hasn't lived a day in his life, so he doesn't know what an actual, like, weird party might look like. But yeah, it's, because that scene is, like, the, holy crap, you gotta be, I want to say it's the holy crap, you gotta be kidding me scene, but there's 5 of them in this movie, like we said. But with that one scene, and you see, like, him surrounded by that many women, in real life, someone who does sleep with that many people that irresponsibly is likely to kind of get something. So, so this is how bad Tyler Perry is. The HIV thing is probably far more realistic than you would see in any other film like this, and yet Tyler Perry still makes it the craziest goddamn thing in this movie.
Because it's totally not important. Like, you can have the exact same plot without the HIV, and it would still be a dramatic film. You have conflict and resolution and risk. This is thrown in as a weird, exploitative, punitive measure, and I don't think you should use something like HIV as a plot device without a good reason.
Yeah, exactly. I don't feel like it should be either. Like I said, it is realistic, but HIV being introduced isn't supposed to be the third act, oh shit, there's a ticking time bomb going off in her pants right now, kind of a thing. It's not supposed to be treated that way. It's, Jesus Christ. And this movie's making so much money. That's what's pissing me off the most about it. All his movies do, except for Good Deeds, which in my mind was like, okay, this is the dumbest of his movies, but it's the least non-offensive, and at least he's trying in it.
I want to be explicit. I feel like Tyler Perry's movies are not, a lot of people write off black film audiences as having poor taste, but this is the only black cinema that is in wide release ever. Even Spike Lee doesn't get wide releases anymore. And that Tyler Perry is representative of entire demographics cinema is a tragedy.
I would say that, except that every now and again we do get some kind of
every once in a while.
Every once in a while, and I would say to these people, listen, I understand any port in a storm, but vote with your dollar. Just tell them no. Just when these other small things come out, go see them. I mean, there are other things, like last year, what was it, that Steve Harvey film, Think Like a Man, that actually got fairly decent reviews. I haven't seen it, but it got fairly decent. Yeah, it got fairly decent reviews, and you know what? It did do well, and I am hoping that is the start of the shift. Like, I am hoping that one day we're going to look back at Tyler Perry kind of almost as like the footnote of, he's important to remember because he was the first. I guess what I'm saying
he's not even the first.
Well, I know he's not the first, but I mean, he was like one of the first entrepreneurs who ever, like, you know.
And there are plenty of people, there are plenty of black people who are rightly very, very upset that Tyler Perry is representative of black cinema in America right now.
Yeah, I feel like we should do a Tyler Perry episode, but I guess at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is, I want Tyler Perry to be remembered as the birth of a nation of black filmmakers.
That is absolutely accurate.
You never know who you're married to. He start off one way and end up somebody else.
You don't know how much I love you.
Most women can't handle the kind of emotion that I bring.
He gonna take you straight to hell.